I mentioned during last night's show that I really love the 2-episode premiere of Star Wars Ahsoka. All over YouTube, reviews have been popping up, and they're distressingly negative. It's like every one I click on, I'm hoping to hear something positive, and each one is worse than the last. And they claim the portrayal of these characters is too wooden, too stiff. And most of these critics, most of them admit to not even seeing the animated series, and that makes me wonder if they have any business reviewing it then. Any actual thought on the matter will tell you how these personalities became the way they did. I mean, take a woman in the middle of her life who's seen some pretty extreme things, and who at the age of 14-ish, somewhere around there, went to war with her like big brother mentor type who would become Darth freaking Vader. That's right, I said it, Darth freaking Vader. Because you weren't there to stop it. And oh yeah, all the friends that you made along the way, well, they're all pretty much dead. And your old teacher would very much like you to join them. So you're going along like that, and and they're trying to look like, you've got your old teacher trying to cancel your subscription to life there, and you're going to be hunted because of a life that you walked away from, and that's going to leave you with some issues. And I don't care who you are, it's going to leave a mark. The other characters' backstories are just as traumatic and every bit as complicated. There are moments of genuine heart, but let's not lose sight of the fact that the three main characters of this show have been severely traumatized to the point where this show could be an excellent case study in some pretty complex and extreme PTSD. And I think a lot of critics go in looking to find fault. Now, in our society, we often look for things to be upset about and focus on the negative. We also tend to find what we actively seek. It's a shame, too, because there are those who will believe the critics. If the first 2 episodes are anything to go by, this show is an absolute masterpiece. And there are even complaints about the show requiring homework, like in seeing the material that led up to it. But look at Spider-Man or Batman. How many times can you sit through the same origin story? That's repetitive, and at some point we need to move on and tell the rest of the tale, but we never get to, because it's always like another reboot of this thing. Or, hey, let's hear about how Bruce's parents died. Listen, we get it, we were there, we grew up with him, we know. So what happened next? That's the real story. So these epic odysseys are just that. They're epic, and as such, they can't be viewed casually any more than you can read Moby Dick casually. You can't do it. You can't. You know what? I'm just going to sit down on an afternoon and read Moby Dick, and that's going to be the end of it. You can't. You have to live it, and it's like actually a departure from your own life and taking on the life of another. I mean, that's the whole thing about these, the Odyssey itself. These epics are called epics for a reason. And I think it's refreshing when studios don't insult their audience by having to handhold your way through a story. Just my opinion. What's yours? Let us know in the chat. I sat there and I with an open mind, I went into each review, and I found myself getting actually upset every time I watched one. It was like they actually, like, one character got stabbed, and they said, oh yeah, that they were healing because they're pushing some kind of like agenda to be like a woman. It's like, no, she was 10 feet from the ship, and they have the medical supplies. It made sense. It had nothing to do with that. And then they called her a social justice warrior because of her hairstyle, and I'm like, but that character existed long before any of that was a thing. And then they said, like, the character personality was wooden, but it's like when that character was first introduced, the character was not that way. The character became that way, and this is where she is in that journey, and she's picking up from there. Where she was in the beginning, she was actually written deliberately to be an annoying character, so nobody would like her at first. Then eventually she'd become everybody's favorite character, which is basically what happened. She's one of my favorites, and to see people not getting that level, it's upsetting. I mean, I don't think you necessarily need to, quote, do homework to appreciate it, but because they did a lot of implied storytelling that I thought was brilliant, and these reviewers seem to completely miss that. I don't get it. And what happens is you've got, like, people who are poised for it. They're ready to go. They've got to produce that content, right? And they know the show's about to drop, and they know that, this particular franchise has a history of following like this or that thing, and they have to produce it quick. They have to get it out before anyone else. So they're not really giving it a thorough look. They're not considering the full body of work. It's more of a first impressions kind of a thing, and you can't go by that. You can't. But they got to be the first one out there. I mean, their content depends on it. Their audience is just expecting it. Well, we're no different. We try to, like, you know, like, I'll stub my toe and I'll be like, oh, look, I've got content. I've got something to talk. My lamp broke and I've got content. So I get it. I get the space. But we do live in a society where everybody, like, we're all holding up scorecards. We're all like Simon Cowell, and we're all holding up this scorecard and saying, you know, you're not going to Vegas. You know, like, we're very kind of judgmental and kind of negative. And I think you can appreciate a body of work, and it doesn't have to actually be a perfect piece of work, but there's something in everything that you can really appreciate as a viewer or as a, you know, as a consumer of that content. Even, you know, even some of these reviews that are negative, I can appreciate some of the design and some of the effects that go into it, and I can say something positive about it, but maybe they should return in kind. I think that maybe perhaps they should really just, you know, go in with an open mind. I mean, that's the way you should experience a film. You shouldn't go in with, and it's hard not to, especially something like this that we've all pretty much grown up with. It's hard to not go in with expectations, but I'm telling you that this show has exceeded mine. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying something positive now and again. I do think that and I mean, it's in the name, a movie critic. Of course they're going to be critical, but they should also, I think, balance it with some positivity. I think that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to do. You have to be able to think for yourself. I mean, it's neat to watch some of these, you know, thought pieces and some of these critics and the approaches that they take. But I think it's very important, especially if it's for something that you enjoy. I think it's important to go in with your own, you know, to formulate your own opinion. And don't be afraid to say that you like this thing that nobody else did. And you can't be afraid to say it. Like, it's okay to like things that aren't perfect.